Good morning from Brighton, Southern California. Up and at it nice and early, getting ready for prayer, but I had some things on my mind. And so this is more of a vent than anything else, but hopefully will provoke some thought for all the sports fan that are also born again Christians. Okay? And so as you see here, I've been a Raider fan since the mid-70s. Been a Laker fan since the mid-70s. I used to stay up late to watch the Lakers game because it wasn't even prime time when I was a fan. Started being a fan, I should say. And so it didn't come on until 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 at night, tape delay. The game had already been played, but it was over. Sometimes even later than that. And so I'm just saying that so you know that I'm not a bandwagon fan. And so some things have been boiling over for the last 2-3 years, especially the NFL. The NFL started to capitulate to the BLM movement because of Kaepernick, who became a Muslim from his girlfriend's influence. And because he was a poor quarterback, disgruntled, in my opinion, he wanted to get some notoriety, so he took a knee. And it seems like every occasion since, this BLM movement would rise to the surface on any violent act by a police officer, especially a white police officer, towards a black citizen. And so, not that they care about the black lives that are dying across the nation by black on black crime or any other way, or aborted babies in New York City. And so it is a Marxist organization. And so they hate America. And so it's just been festering in me because, I thought it would blow over because, like many of you who are fans of sports, baseball, football, basketball, it's kind of a way of a escape, kind of just we can all have common ground and little friendly rivalries with our brethren, like mocking each other because of their team and how poor they're doing or how good they're doing or how many Super Bowls or championships we have or don't have, whatever the case might be. So that's kind of been like a little thing that we've had. But for the last, like I said, several years now, it's been turning into a political hodgepodge of nonsense. And so, because of that, I also served in the Marine Corps, okay? And so I do respect our flag, our nation. I'm a patriot. And so when people refuse to stand for the national anthem, that's their opinion, that's their choice. They have the freedom to do so. But when you make it a forced issue where people have to agree with where you stand, that is bothersome. That is tyrannical. And so the NBA has been in cahoots with China for some time now. There's plenty of articles. I just recently read one off of ESPN's article. They had a little article about the shenanigans going over there in China with the minor league of the NBA, where we have U.S. citizens over there participating in games, trying to bring up the level of play there. And they basically says they're working with slave camps and what have you, and mistreating. And so, the NBA will jump through all kinds of hoops when China says so, because of the money that is there, with 1/5 of the world's population pretty much being Chinese, and so, or maybe a little less than that. Yeah, who knows? However, there's a lot of money to be made in the Chinese market, and so the NBA is kind of in cahoots with this. Attorney General Barr just called him out about 2 weeks ago, talking big tech companies, that are dealing with them and, giving information and working with them, having companies there, et cetera, all using slave labor. He called him out on that. Pompeo just recently called him out here in Southern California. He at the Richard Nixon Library. He called out China. and their dealings and how they're, trying to undermine our financial system by taking root into our all kinds of activities. You name it, they got their hand on it. And now our sports as well. And then Mr. Meadows, the chief of staff for President Trump, also called out China because of the dealings here. It's just not right. And so you combine that with what the NFL is now doing. They just came out recently, Tagliabue, and he stated that no NFL player is allowed to go to church. Okay, no, he's not allowed to go to church where they're of over 25% capacity. Okay, but it's okay for them to go and march in a BLM protest. Okay, where their chance is even at a greater risk of getting the COVID because they're in a crowd, people yelling, spitting, all kinds of things. It's okay for them to do that, but they can't go to a church service. And so now the NFL's at war with what I hold dearest to my heart, and that is my relationship with Jesus Christ. And so I personally am not going to watch the NFL this year. I'm not going to watch any NBA. I'm tired of LeBron James' big mouth and all the rest of them who have been coddled athletes, and they make millions, and they talk about how blacks are oppressed in our nation when they have never bothered to look at the information and the statistics that are out there that prove them completely wrong. But they're just in denial. They want their opinion expressed, and they don't want to hear yours or mine or anybody else that would disagree with them. And so I wonder where some of these Christian athletes are going to line up. Recently, I read in an article that a San Francisco Giants baseball player, as they were all bowing their knee at the anthem, holding a black rope together to represent Black lives and the unity they had as a team. He held the rope, but he stood strong and stood up. They asked him why later. He said, "I would feel like a hypocrite if I bowed my knee." He says, "I serve Jesus, claim to be a Christian." And then this morning, I read another article, about a basketball player, plays for the Orlando Magic. During their opening ceremony, the national anthem was played. All the players wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts bowed their knee, refused to stand for the national anthem, but he stood up and didn't wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. They asked him afterwards, and he basically testified of the gospel of Jesus Christ and gave witness to the Lord Jesus Christ and why he would not stand. And I thought, well, here's a few out of the hundreds of athletes that are at a point right now where they're going to have to stand, make a choice. Do I live my life based on my conviction, or do I play games, and I just ignore it, think it'll go bad? And so, I know that one of the teams I root for, the Raiders, there's several players on that team who are born-again Christians, the quarterback being one of them. I'm curious to find out where they're going to stand when they're told they can't go to church. Are they gonna fold over because they make millions of dollars by the NFL, or are they gonna stand? Say, you know what, we're gonna go to church. If they can protest, we can go to church. I'm just curious. This is on my mind. Not only that, but there's countless Christians who, due to their own misinformation or misplaced, priorities. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I understand not everybody's as into the things that are going on in the world as I might be or others might be. But it's sad when people will know more about sports, how their team's doing, what trades are being made, what the box scores are, what the batting average is, all these things, any given sporting event, but will not investigate what's going on in the world to see what's happening, seeing the pressure that's being put on the church politically and spiritually. And it's an assault. It's not about health, it's not about race. It's an assault to get people to bend their convictions and conform to the narrative of the day. And so I, for one, am not going to support that. Okay, I'll be honest with you, it'll probably be a little struggle because for a majority of my life, I've been very intense, passionate fan, okay? But I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to pay attention. They're not going to get any of my money. I'm not going to support them until they get over the nonsense. Okay, it's a boy's game. It's a child's game. Okay, it's not life. It's not important to life. It was an escape for a moment in time of camaraderie and pleasure. That's all it is. I'm living for Jesus. I'm living for eternity. And so you can take this for however you want it. That's my opinion. That's my choice. Hopefully some Christians out there will stand also. And maybe some of those Christians that are patriotic will stand also and say, you know what, enough is enough. And maybe it'll send a message to all these sports venues saying, you know what, we're losing interest from the citizens of this great nation. Why? Because they're doing things that has nothing to do with sports. Okay? And so I'm, to say the least, pretty teed off at sports in general. And it kind of bothers me that Christians sometimes kind of look blind-eyed at it. They just, oh, that's just sports. I don't pay attention to politics. Well, it's your prerogative. But I, for one, will not be, talking about it. That's all I have this morning. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Lord bless you. Okay, till next time, Semper Fi. That means always faithful.